Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell, and this is the Super Bowl, what's it, 54
54.
version of Ben and Barry on football.
The Super Bowl version, yes, that is correct. Super Bowl 54, that is also correct. I'm Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host, fantasy geek, and lover of everything football, especially the NFL.
If you've never had a chance to see Ben and Barry on football, we have a pretty concise agenda here. I do produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and I rank the team straight through to the Super Bowl. So we have the rankings down to these two teams that'll be going into the Super Bowl, basically looking at those categories that we feel are just so fundamental to the conversation. You start there, and then you go from there. That would be points for, points against, turnover differential, and net points. Then in addition to that, as an outgrowth of the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, we have the Bias Plus report, where you pit the two teams together based on those net points and that turnover differential in a simple formula that says that this team is favored over that team, mainly because they have a greater number of net points and they have a greater number of turnover differentials in their favor. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about a little commentary, and we will shut this down because there's only the one game. It's just the one game, Benny.
It is the one, though.
The one. Because, there's people who, when you talk to them about why, what the goal is in football, the first thing that they don't say is Super Bowl. And it's like, wait, no, that's the first thing you say. It starts there. Everything else has to do with getting there. I don't care if you were 4 and what was my team last week? I'm a Niner fan. Last year rather. They were 4-win team.
Yeah, y'all were what, 4-12?
Yeah, 4-win team. 4-win team. So that's going to be interesting. Ben has a bunch of stats on that. So Ben, before we move into these rankings, anything you want to say?
Just that I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the passing of Kobe Bryant just the other day. Helicopter crash. His daughter was with him. There were a couple other people with their families, so it totaled up to 9 people actually. And condolences to the families and the people they left behind. It was very sad, very tragic.
Tragic is the word. Hit a lot of people very deeply. I have not seen Shaq's video. The social media that I'm on Facebook, people who said it, they're like, I saw Shaq's video. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So apparently his video is bringing on a whole nother wave of depression, of the people who are really, and so to Kobe, but also to the other victims in that accident. There was 9 altogether there. All lives are, as far as I'm concerned, equal. So it's an equal loss. We just know Kobe a little bit better than we knew the other people. But all fine people from everything that I can see. So this is what we're sharing here. We just shared the NFL their official statement on the Kobe tragedy. And so we just wanted to share that. So is that good?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. I want to share this information. Take a look here. Sterling Net Point Power Rankings as of the division playoffs. Actually, that's wrong. That should be as of the conference championships, because I have all the conference numbers
should be, yes,
in there also. All right. Well, you'll see that on all of the slides, but those numbers are conference numbers. And this, we talk a lot about the defense of San Fran. Kansas City is an improved defense. As far as I was concerned, Suggs and the Suggs and what's the little guy in the safety?
Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger. The Honey Badger have added a lot to that, and they got the man in the middle of that D line. He's an all-star, so they have improved their defense, no doubt. Turnover differential, one better than the Niners, and again, we know our numbers were skewed by the really bad game with the Steelers, but that's okay. It is what it is. It's extremely close. Extremely close. Anything you want to say about that?
Well, there's a lot of things that are close, surprisingly close. But I'll wait until we really get into the game and the logistics of the game. But I think that
Are you surprised that their turnover differential was that close, or that they're actually ahead?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I wanted to say that I believe without a doubt we do have the two best teams this year. There's been a couple of years in the past where for some reason or other, the Saints didn't make it and seemed at the time that they were destined to get there, and something went severely wrong and stopped them from getting there. But other than that, I would say that for the most part, most people would agree that these are the two best teams, had the two best seasons, and they both belong there and should be able to give us a really good game.
Okay. Next up in the information that we want to share here, let's talk about, when we talk kind of about the defense in terms of the turnover differential, but in actuality, because again, it's, those you've given up, different from those you've taken from the other team. It does actually encompass both sides of the ball. And so the other side of the ball says that Mr. Mahomes does not turn the ball over too much. He will turn the ball over, but not much. All right. Let's go to the next slide here. These are not actually slides. You can actually go to Sterling Net Point Power Rankings on Facebook and find this specific information. I will update and correct that division playoff because this is as of the conference championship. So points against, once again, KC came out slightly ahead, only 3 points across, what's that, close to 20 games, 19 games or so. These teams, neither one was in the wild card, so they don't have that in their numbers. But across the season and across the playoffs, defensively, Kansas City, 506, San Francisco, 509. That's what they've given up.
That's basically a wash. I mean, come on. That's super close. You can't really say anybody has a real advantage there. We're talking about, what was it again? 509 and 50.
It was 506 for KC, 509 for San Fran.
Right. So we're talking about 3 points.
Yeah.
We're talking about a field goal. We're talking about a field goal.
Now, I didn't even do the average because it didn't make any difference. You had an equal number of games.
Right.
And I didn't want to have a .00.
Yeah, right. But people understand a field goal, though.
When you put it that way, I hadn't thought about it. Like, a field goal separates them all season.
Right.
And let me tell you something. Who was it? Was it the Ravens? It was one of the teams that we lost to by a missed field goal.
Okay.
It was a miss, and it was missed by our top guy too. So he don't miss a lot.
Right.
So yeah, that's very interesting. As a matter of fact, Kansas City has a very good field goal kicker, from what I understand.
Yes, they do. Yes,
Probably
they do.
more about that.
And that was points against, right?
Yes, sir.
So right now, I would say that the general consensus would be that the 49ers had the better overall defense than Kansas City. If you ask most casual football fans, that would be their understanding.
Wouldn't you? You would if you asked, if you listen to the media, if you listen to casual football. I mean, you're absolutely right. This is counterintuitive.
Yeah, yeah. And now, if you break the stats down a little bit more individually, you probably would still come up with that same conclusion, but it's far closer than people think. And the points you give up, that's the bottom line. It's points that win the game. Yards are great, defensive stats are great, but it's the points that you give up that determine the winner and the loser. And we're talking about a field goal difference between the two defenses. So it's far closer than most people would believe.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Next up, talk about counterintuitive. What do you think about that?
Wow. And guess
Kansas
what it is?
537, San Francisco 543.
That is exactly a touchdown.
And an extra point.
And an extra point? My math wrong?
Touchdowns are 6 points.
Yeah, right. Oh, I thought there was 6-point difference. I'm sorry.
No, you might be right. That's
It is
a 6-point difference, yes.
It is 6. That's a touchdown difference.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely.
Wow.
But again, it's flip-flopped. Everybody's
Right.
thinking KC offense, Niner defense.
That's the first thing people would say. Oh, who's got the better offense? Oh, Kansas City definitely got the better offense. Why? Because it's more explosive. Why? Because Mahomes is MVP. Why? We're talking a touchdown difference.
Now, Ben, did you get my text? Your boy LT was on the NFL channel today.
Yeah, I was out, but what did he say? He was on live?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was sitting at the table being interviewed. Today was a day when they were bringing all of these football players in, and they were like, we got celebrity guests coming in, celebrity guests. Every celebrity guest they had was pitching something. Even
Really?
Barry Sanders. They had Barry Sanders. He was pitching stuff. It was like,
oh, you know what? They do that now. They did that last year.
They did it again this year. And I mean, it's a fine system now. They come in and what's her name? She's the pretty Latina girl with the dimples.
I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, she's setting them up beautifully. She's like, so you came in, and they had anyway, LT, all he talked about was the defense. So they asked him and said, who do you have? And he had stars in his eyes for Mahomes. You'd have thought he was talking about a beauty queen. He was like, Mahomes. I was like, no, not LT. He's under the spell, the Mahomes spell.
Hey, he's a fan, man. He's a football fan.
Oh, man. So anyway, counterintuitive, Kansas City, turnover differential, Kansas City, points against, Niners, points for.
Crazy.
This is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings is a grand experiment on my part. So we are still discovering, what this says about teams, but it is what they've actually done. You know what I mean? And so we want to make sure that we account for what they actually did without any bias. So, that's why we try to do this. And that's why we have what's called the Bias Plus Report, which we will come to that conclusion a little bit later. Let's look at the main point that we like to make here, which is net points. So the bottom line is that when you look at the points scored, when you look at the points given up, that touchdown is about it.
Right.
You know,
That's that touchdown. That's the difference between these two teams.
that's the difference in terms of scoring between these two teams. And um, so we'll see how that goes, you know, beyond that as we go into the Bias Plus report. So in any event, we just wanted to highlight that information, share it with everyone so they kind of know really how closely these teams are relative to their results over the season. Now it's going to come down to matchups at every level, and we'll talk about that in the next section as we go through the Bias Plus report. Before we leave the ranking section, anything on that, Mr. Dickerson?
No. Before seeing the numbers as you've compiled them, I believe that this game would be really close. I had no idea how close it would be according to the power rankings, but now that you've compiled the numbers and I see it, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not surprised. I'm a little bit surprised. But I had looked at some other numbers and they kind of give a picture of how we arrived or how you arrived at those numbers that you just showed.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in the next section?
Yep.
All right, that's what we call a tease. Okay, so in this section, we're going to go over the Bias Plus report. Now, again, I produced the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. When you're looking at a matchup and you begin to look at them relative to their net points, so the bias will generally go to the team with the greater net points. In other words, if I've been winning by a margin of 20 points and you've been winning by a margin of 3, and we play each other, the difference of 17 favors the team that scored the higher net point number. So that's all that is. It's, you know, it's bias. In any event, in addition to that, we add in turnover differential, and that's the little plus. So again, those are the only two stats when you're looking at the points for, points against. Those are the two stats where you have both a positive and a negative number. So you really have a true range of within the 32 teams. So now we're going to look at the Bias Plus report. Before I pull that up, Mr. Dickerson, did you have anything you want to say about this?
Well, no. Why don't you bring it up? Let's see it.
Well, there you go. Bias Plus report for the NFL Super Bowl 54 in 2020, San Francisco 49ers. Oh, we are the away team.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, it looks like the Chiefs are the home team.
Chiefs are the home team. And this must go back and forth or something of that nature, because I looked at the schedule like for the game before they had the actual matchup of who was going to be in it.
Right.
It was like NFC at AFC basically, or something like that. So it was, you know,
the better record.
But it had nothing to do with the team. It was already sort of predefined who was home and who was away before they even knew who the teams were that were playing.
Oh, okay, it must flip flop.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The cities flip flop and yeah, whatever.
Could be. Bias Plus score 5 favors the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm probably the only one, because we kind of talked about this a little bit. Vegas is favoring Kansas City, but only at 1.5. I mean, that's, you know, everything that we've said about how close it is. When you look at Vegas, they're right there in terms of, you know, saying that this is a close game. And then when you're playing the points, that point spread, which I'm trying to learn about, you know, you have to either, like, let me not even try to explain it because I'm not that strong with it. But long story short, you got to be beyond the points or within the points or something like that. And when the spread is only 1.5, that's difficult to do, you know, to be within that range. that you need to be. You know that I had to complete my franchise season, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. How'd it go?
Before we get into it, I don't know if you can see
No,
now.
I can't see that. Did you win the chip or not?
Ah, yes, 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 yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
There you go.
And let me tell you a couple things real quick, just kind of fun stuff. All right, so I get all nervous about playing the game, right? Because I mean, I got to come on here and say I either won or lost, and I don't know if there's any universal vibes that might help or hurt my team, but I want to win, right? I'm competitive like that. I go into the game, and I'm feeling like the game's trying to cheat me a little bit. I felt a little pressured at one point and went for it on fourth down at about the 50-yard line.
No.
I'm a running team. You're supposed to be able to get that yard. It was like a
It was
yard.
4th and 1.
Huh?
4th and 1
Yeah, it was like 4th and 1 or something.
at the 50.
Yeah, yeah.
Was it late in the game?
2 plays later, Tyreek Hill is burning by Sherman. He gets burned deep.
Was it late in the game?
No, early in the game. Second quarter or so.
Had you scored?
No.
I'm trying to figure this out.
It was like 0-0 at that point.
Oh, okay. All right. All
Like
right. You took a shot.
I took a shot. And then they took a shot, and I was down 7-0.
Okay.
However, you stay true to your knitting. You do what you do. And I started to run the ball. And I started to throw the Kittle. And I hit him up a little bit, once the run got going, because it's like anything. You're either going to stop it or you're going to get burned by it. In order to stop it, if you can't stop it with your normal front 4 to 5 to 7, then you got to bring down the 8. Now you're in trouble. So long story short, they burnt Sherman, okay? And I come back, I score twice and kick a field goal. So I'm like up 10.
Okay.
And they're coming down, and Mahomes has got him in the red zone. And I'm putting pressure on him, and he tosses the ball back over, and Sherman picks it off in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is just too good. First of all, that I'm even playing the Chiefs. But then that Sherman gets burnt, which we're all afraid of because everybody's talking about he lost a step, and then he got the fastest around. So it's quite possible. He got burnt a little
very
bit.
possible.
He got burnt a little bit last week.
It's
extremely
possible.
And so, and boom, it happens. But then he went back to Sherm, and you can't go over there too much. That's not good.
No, because he's going to figure it out.
You don't want to go over there when you're under duress. That's when you really just, because you pop something over in that direction. He's like a receiver. He's got hands. He will catch that ball, So he's not like your normal D-backs who were, receivers who couldn't make the squad because they couldn't really catch. So they turned to defense, So anywho, that's it. I'll play a little bit of that maybe in the next segment. But in any event, Niners, bias 5. What say you?
Okay, so the net point power rankings say that the Niners are a +5 favored to win, so to speak. I know that the net point power rankings are not the end all and be all. It's not a predictor of.
It's all a bias. We're just talking
about the
bias,
numbers and who's done what up to this point. Right. So what I just wanted to mention was before I try to pick a team or before anybody else out there tries to pick a team, hopefully you'll see this and weigh some of this stuff. And I'm going to kind of go back to the last segment where we found that the difference in the points that were allowed by the two different defenses was only a 3-point difference. and the points that were scored by the two offenses, there was only a 6-point difference. One thing is for sure, so I'm not going to spit out any stats about this, but that is the overall running game for the 49ers is better than the Chiefs' running game. I don't think anybody will argue that. However, people say that Mahomes, who had a great season, no doubt about it, is a far better quarterback, or they would quickly prefer him over Jimmy Garoppolo. I got a little something for you. Patrick Mahomes attempted 484 passes this season. Jimmy Garoppolo attempted 476. Pretty close. Mahomes completed 319 of those passes. Jimmy G completed 329 of his. So he threw less balls and completed more. Jimmy Garoppolo. Yards-wise, passing yards, Mahomes 4,031, a little over 4,000. Garoppolo 3,978, a little bit less than 4,000. Real close. Now this makes the rankings being so close not so you can kind of see it. It's really like that. Like anybody who watches these programs and goes, net points, what the heck? This is right on the money.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Not to throw too much of a wrench into your numbers, but Mahomes missed 3 games, 4 games?
2 games.
2 games. That was all?
Yep.
So he did it in 2 less games.
Yes.
Okay. All right. No problem. Still close. Still close.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he still outdid Jimmy in yardage, but he threw more passes, even though he missed 2 games. That's my point.
Right. They're a throwing team.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. Touchdowns. Mahomes, 26 passing touchdowns. Garoppolo, 27. Here's the difference.
Wow.
And we talked about this when you talked about the turnover differential. Mahomes has only thrown 5 interceptions. Garoppolo's thrown 13 interceptions. That's a pretty big difference. Garoppolo also lost 5 fumbles. Mahomes only 2. So there's your turnover thing. Okay. Right. So I just wanted to, share some of those comparisons that show that this game really is as close as people are making it out to be, or as some people, probably casual fans who don't really care about numbers and all that stuff. It's a lot closer than they may think it's going to be.
That is a very scary statistic in terms of Garoppolo and the turnover, the interceptions. We know, again, 5 turnovers to the Steelers. But I also do think that he improved as the season went on in terms of the turnover numbers. Now, part of that, again, let's face it, he's handing the ball off and the run game dominates. So, okay. Any more numbers?
Oh, I got a ton of numbers. I'm just trying to pick out the most interesting ones.
Oh, okay.
Garoppolo has a better completion percentage.
Right. Again,
because he throws less and has to throw less.
Right.
That's going to help his completion percentage.
And him and Mahomes have great tight ends. That helps your completion percentage.
That helps a lot.
That really
does. Your safety blanket.
The shootouts. He had shootouts, and I think that's the thing that he's not getting enough respect for. That when it came to the shootout with the Ravens or the shootout with the Saints, or even with the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals was putting points up. Our defense went through a lot of some injuries and some things, and a few players just not meeting up to standards. Some of them have been replaced already. We have some new talent that kind of emerged a little later in in the year, like Greenlaw or a linebacker for the Niners. You found out, he's faster than what, most linebackers are, So there's some talent that emerged late, even in terms of, Mostert, talent that kind of emerged late in the season. So they did well.
I told you about Monster last year.
Well, we talked about Mostert last year, of course, because again, I play, he's been a part of my team, that I've utilized. I move him up. The game has him low on the totem pole. I saw those speed and stuff numbers. I moved him right up. So we're right. We both kind of picked up on him, but in terms of how much time he actually got to do anything, it was later in the year. So that's all I'm saying.
It's funny how head coaches and offensive coordinators, defense too, but sometimes respond to the talents of certain players, or maybe there's something about that guy that they can see it, but they just don't quite believe. I mean, they ran right out the first chance they could get and grabbed Tevin Coleman at the beginning of the season. So there was something about him that they just weren't sure about, And Coleman had a good year, no doubt about it. Coleman had a really good year, but he's got a little injury history, and most of came through.
Speaking of, I know it's something. I'm glad you mentioned that. For some reason, Breida, I couldn't run with Breida in the game. It looked like he was there. I had him as the number one back. He's normally, but every play when I lined up, it was Tevin Coleman back there. Even so okay, that's what it was. That's what I went with. He wound up being the player of the game, but he separated his shoulder at the goal line on the touchdown. In the game, he separated his shoulder. I'm like,
wow.
I'm telling you, Benny, it gets crazy. It gets crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But he was player of the game.
So were you able to bring Breida in then?
No, I had to run with Mostert.
Okay. Hey, look.
I had no problem with it. I told you, he was the third back. I had Breida, Coleman, and Mostert. Those are my three backs.
Depth charts lie.
Well, they're all good backs. They're all good backs. And like I said,
but you have a depth chart for a reason, supposedly.
I'm wondering, are we going to see Breida in the Super Bowl? Because there are actually articles that say they think that think that the coach was kind of stashing him a little bit. I actually wondered. I think he had a fumble, and I think he got the Patriot treatment. When you fumble when you with the Patriots, all of a sudden you and the bench get real friendly.
Yeah, not this long though.
So now that, and from what I understand, he's still questionable with the shoulder, etc. So you could come in there with two heavyweight starters with Breida and Mostert, and the one of the things I think people are I've seen them try to equate the ability of the Chiefs to slow down the Titans running game, completely different style run game. Quickness is especially relative to that. Even though Henry is, speedy, quick, he still is Henry. He's not Mostert, he's not Breida. Those guys are shiftier, and the whole offense runs in a different way. They're already talking about the Chiefs not buying what the setup is. In other words, if it looks like they're going that way, don't buy it, because it's probably coming back this way, and that's what they're trying to discipline themselves on. I think that one of the keys is going to be if the Niners can keep them out of the end zone. They can move all up and down the field, but if we can hold them to field goals and put up anywhere near our normal scoring, then we'll win that game. They're going to get something, But you know, and then again, you know, can we really pressure Mahomes with 4 people? That's the question. Your boy LT said it was funny. He said they said, how do you contain Mahomes? He said, or how do you deal with Mahomes? He said you got to contain him. They said, how we do that? And then he said you got to put a spy on him. But I think what he was saying this is what he said: you got to contain him, you got to flush him out, and then have your spy attack him. So it's like,
what does that mean? You got to contain him, but then you got to flush him out.
Well, this
Come
your boy
on,
LT. What can I tell you? He picked them anyway. So, you know, but yeah, that was crazy. That's you know, that was on TV today. So pressure is always going to be a big part of it. As I said to my friends who were Viking fans going into that game, and I said to my friends who were Packer fans, like my son, going into that game, all I can tell you is we got dogs out there. Y'all can come on out there if y'all want to, but we got dogs, and these boys is gonna come at you, you know, in a way you might not be used to seeing. So that I think is going to be part of the difference. You know, which defense is really going to be able to apply the pressure. You know, you've already said, looks like Garoppolo might be a little susceptible to it. But if we're running the ball and we're controlling it like we should, then you can protect against that. And I think they can run the ball. So I like the bias. You got more numbers for me? You got more numbers for you? Because you haven't really stated.
Yeah, I'm talking myself into this as I go. I mean, let's talk about defense right now.
Here we go.
Let's talk about defense. So we're talking about maybe trying to stop the Niners' run game. And the Chiefs have given up 14 rushing touchdowns this year. That's not a lot, but it's not a little either.
Where does that rank them? Any idea?
I'm not sure about the ranking, but let's put it in perspective. The supposedly superior defense has given up 11 rushing touchdowns. So 11 for the Niners, 14 for the Chiefs. Not far off. Doesn't make the Chiefs terrible against the run. As far as the Niners defense being able to get after Mahomes, they finished with 48 sacks this year. That's pretty good. That's got to rank them up pretty high. But the Chiefs defense has 45. Again, super close. Like, this is crazy. As I'm looking at these now, I'm like, game is so close. The Chiefs defense doesn't stink anymore. Something happened. And I think it really started to take place round about week 10, maybe, where teams just weren't having their way with them. Now, since the playoffs have begun, the problem is they've been falling behind in games early. I don't know if that's poor game planning on their part, on the defensive side of the ball, or bad game planning. Like, teams seem to be jumping on them and really catching them by surprise. So that's been a weakness. Now they've had 2 weeks to prepare. Like you said, if it looks like the Niners are running this way and they're really going that way, then the Chiefs are going to have to be very disciplined in their front seven to stop or even slow down that run game. So that's going to be pretty tough, because I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's got a whole brand new script for him. So whatever they've been watching over the course of the season, they'll probably get some of that, but they're going to get something else too. Who knows? Niners could come out throwing the ball. There's no telling what could happen. But as far as strengths and weaknesses, again, very close. Niners defense has gotten 12 interceptions this year. Oh, we talked about the interceptions with the turnover difference. So we can skip that, and we can skip over that. And here we are. the Chiefs defense has given up 21 passing touchdowns. Niners, the better defense, has given up 23. 2 touchdown difference in the Chiefs' favor. If we just talk to the casual fan, that's why I love doing this show. If we just talk to the casual fan and you pose these questions to them, I doubt they get a lot of them right. And I think they would be extremely surprised at how close these things are. And possibly this could make a difference. And when we talk about turnovers again, one more time, last time, a guy we used to play ball with, Walt Bellamy, used to talk about getting interceptions in a game. And he'd say, yeah, interceptions are great. Interceptions are nice, but the great ones take it home. Okay? Fumble recoveries, interception returns. The Niners defense has scored 5 defensive touchdowns. The Chiefs only 3. So that being said, with the turnover differential being that close, the difference there is what do you do with it when you get it? And it looks like the Niners, looks like it's in their favor.
Okay. So it sounds like you found the one, and you found the one, and maybe you found the one, but I don't know if you added it up to 3 yet.
Oh, you were doing math while I was saying those numbers?
That's about as far as my math goes. 1 and 1 and 1. And beyond that, it's calculator or Excel spreadsheet time.
I mean, I can't. The only other thing I could say about this game is that if I have to pick a winner, I'm going to go with the bias plus, which I've been going against quite a bit and losing my shirt. And I'm going to go with the team that I think has the better chance of making the big plays on defense. And I believe that's the 49ers.
All right. Okay. That sounds lucid and logical. Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. You know, it was funny. I had this momentary thought. I was like, wait a minute. You know, we can't lose this because we're undefeated in Super Bowls. And then it was like, no, we won 5. We lost 1 with Kaepernick.
Oh, right. The one with the Ravens. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Joe Flacco beat y'all.
But, you know, I always said it was, what was the name of the wide receiver kick returner guy that they had at the time? He was real fast.
Oh.
He returned that was the difference in the game as far as I was concerned.
His last name was Wilson. I remember that.
Yeah, because I remember he had a really big play against the Broncos.
Yep.
Leading up to, you know, that game. And then after a while, he like disappeared. The season after that or whatever, he was gone.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those things almost like with Ted Ginn, where he was like really, really good returner, but it's questionable as a receiver.
Right.
You know, and I guess nobody was giving him the shot or else whatever, you know, but long story short, I thought he was the difference in the game. In any event, you're going with the bias. Again, what was those famous words? If you throw the ball, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad.
And 2 of them are bad.
So if we can run the ball and continue on our normal ways, as opposed to them throwing the ball, and if we can contain touchdowns, I think that the Niners, you know, will be enjoying number 6 and will be up there with the ranks of the 6. This is the quest for 6, as far as I'm concerned. We've been on this quest for a hot minute, but it is all about the quest for 6. So, all right, that wraps up the Bias Plus report, unless you have more statistics.
No, I have no more.
I have no more statistics. All right, then we'll be moving on to commentary. All right, so in this section, we do the commentary. Let's jump right to our Facebook page. Well, I was going to, except for the fact that it looks as if I got a Supreme Court justice where I thought Ben and Barry was. But I know what happened there. Very simply, we had they had a piece on the Hall of Fame that we shared on our Facebook page, and I think it was running while we were doing what we were doing, so it moved on to another video. But some great stuff coming up on the NFL channel, the Hall of Fame, and some things of that nature. Last week, we did share. Look at that face.
Whoa.
Oh, happy. And this piece is called Eli Love. You look like you're in love there, man.
It's Eli Manning, man. It's Eli Manning. Eli's retired. Went out as a Giant, played his entire career for one team, which I always think is a really great thing. You don't hear about scrubs playing their entire career for one team and it being a long career. So
that's true. That's true. You know, that is true. So that was one of them. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, we mentioned it a little earlier in the show, but again, as a part of Ben and Barry on football, we did share the NFL's official statement on the passing of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and the other 7 victims. I don't remember everybody's name, but they were all involved with sports and teammates of hers and things of that nature. So there'll be an amazing amount of mourning going on over there. I did want to share this. I happened to see this on the NFL channel. Devin Bush and Devin Bush Sr. He's a coach. You know, Devin Bush Sr. actually played also in the NFL. Now his son plays in the NFL. Right. And they just talk about how, as a family, their life revolves around football. It's about football and family with them, you know. So it's a really nice family story that I just wanted to share on our page for anyone who happens to get a chance to take a look at it. All right, Chris Doman passed away. Any memories of relative to him?
Yeah, Chris Doman was a very dominant defensive lineman. Obviously a Hall of Famer. I can't remember when he went in, but it was kind of recently. And he played on some really good teams. I think he was on that team with Randall and Chris Carter and them.
That's going back a little bit. He was 58. So I think they said when he passed, he was 50 years old. Why does that look on your face?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay.
You're agreeing with me, right?
Huh?
I said, I believe he was on that team with Randall.
Right. So I just wanted to share that little part of it. You know, it says here dies at the age of 58 for him. Last week's show also included one of our. Now I was having a little bit of fun with this. My wife thinks I'm crazy and deranged. I didn't really get it out until a little later because of everything that happened with Kobe. But this is the wedding controversy clip that I think needs to get shown to every man and football player in existence. So you get a chance, take a look at it, and please share your thoughts. And as I said, please keep it funny, okay?
Please share your thoughts, whether they're funny or not. I really want to hear what people have to say.
Oh, you want to hear the non-funny ones too?
I'm extremely curious.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? You know what I really don't want to hear? I don't want to hear people say, oh, it's when, yeah, football is and everything. I don't want to hear
that. Well, that's half of the objectors right there. So you ruled out half the people.
All right, fine. Give me.
Remember, we're in Philadelphia. There was actually a study done about the Super Bowl, and like half of the people that they surveyed in this study said that the main reason that they went to the Super Bowl party was for the food,
Okay.
especially if their team wasn't in it. Now,
Yes.
you and I, we don't go, the food is a part of it, but we're there to see the game.
Right.
That's our number one focus on Super Bowl Sunday. So we are not in that particular, we're on the other side of that 50%.
Whether our team is in it or not, it just so happens that your team happens to be in it this year. But whether our team's in it or not, we're going to see the game. I mean, the food is nice, but you know.
But I mean, if I don't have nothing but a Mars bar, it's about the game, you
Right.
know, as far as I'm concerned. But that's the group that's going to say it's just football, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And remember, what? Total maybe 20 games. It's not like basketball, not like baseball, but they got tons and tons of games. The season is short, sweet, concise. It only covers actual regular season and postseason games from what, September to barely into February?
Actually 21 total weeks of football.
Out of 52.
Right.
So you got plenty of weeks available
To get married.
And love is forever. So what's the big, look, you can do it next week when it doesn't make a difference. Love is forever. Okay, enough of that crap. Anywho, next up, we don't have much more, Mr. Dickerson, unless you have something that you want to drop on the people.
Drop on the people.
Concerns, rants, raves.
Let's see. Let's spitball a little bit. Well, first of all, I heard talk of the Rooney Rule again today. I thought they had kind of tried to let that slide on by there, but
I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually did watch what's his name, CEO for the NFL.
Oh, Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell speak today to the group, and I watched the question and answer from the press, and that did come up for sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. He did his State of the Union.
Right.
NFL.
Yeah, right. Now I do have a question. Tonight they have this honors night or something like that. Or
Oh, you gotta watch that. You gotta watch that.
But is it live tonight?
I believe it's live. NFL Awards. Yes.
Is it tonight?
I'm pretty. No, wait.
It's the night before the game, isn't it?
No, it's Saturday. Saturday night.
Right. The game's on Sunday.
Right.
Why
Saturday.
would you have an awards night the night before the game? Are the guys who are in the Super Bowl, are they not expected to be there? They hanging out at an awards show the night before the Super Bowl?
None of them will be there.
That's what I'm saying. And they got to get some awards.
It might not even be in Miami. It's probably in New York. I don't know where it's going to be, but then none of them will be there. If anybody wins, they'll just say to accept their award is his great uncle Harry, because of course he's in the Super Bowl. But I mean, they're the two best teams. That doesn't mean they got all the best players, man.
That's true. No,
they got a lot, and they give out a lot of stuff. They do the Man of the Year.
Yeah, they do the MVP. Will they do the MVP at that time?
Right. Yes.
So Lamar, all those guys from the Pro Bowl. Do we want to even mention the Pro Bowl? First of all, I don't think that the rule that we talked about last week, where they have the option to take it on their own 25 and then go for 15 to keep the ball.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually utilized that article.
And that's funny because I thought they would do it just for the heck of it.
I kind of thought that too, just to say they did it.
Just to see if they could do it.
Now, okay, I was like ready to just let this go, but there are a couple things that are popping up in my mind that actually I made some notes about. So one is this. I had a nightmare And then the nightmare, I'm at a football game. I'm all hyped up about the game. And the play that I'm looking at, because I think this is a real game, is the play from the Pro Bowl where somebody got the ball and then tossed it to the Eagle lineman and he ran it in for a touchdown from like 30 yards out.
This happened in the Pro Bowl? Because I didn't watch.
And they might the opposite team, I guess it would have been the NFC, they might as well have just put their arms around them and walked with them, because you know what it reminds you ever see the one where you have like an old guy, let's say he's like 96 years old, and they put him in the game and they let him run the touchdown?
Yeah, right. I seen them.
Yeah, it was like that in the Pro Bowl. And I'm like, and when you wake up from the nightmare, like, no, football hasn't degraded to that for real, has it? Oh, okay. Man, that's scary. I can't imagine being on the path to that from where we are now. I mean, that was just ridiculous. That was just ridiculous. That's about all I saw. I didn't see much of it. I don't watch much of the festivities, and all of that. I was like, that's a bunch of baloney. I don't have time for that, but yeah, I thought that, man, what a terrible thing. Also, we talked about Roger Goodell, and he constantly said he would not negotiate like the contract with the union to the media. So he basically had no comment when they were asking him questions like that. One guy asked him about a franchise in Toronto. He's like, why are you worried about going to England? Come to Toronto. You don't have to worry about the logistics of going all the way over there, Goodell said, and it's funny because he kind of said, I know you probably haven't thought about this. Goodell said, yeah, we actually have thought about that. He said, but there's two parts to this. The city is one part. He said, but then you have to have an NFL-worthy stadium.
Okay. Toronto has a CFL team.
I don't know. It sounded like he was saying wherever the CFL team is playing is not NFL worthy.
So,
because he moved it out, they basically said they didn't have a stadium.
I would think that probably means, and we can look this up, but it probably doesn't have the seating capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. To bring in the kind of revenue, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So they were asked about Mexico again. I think they're going to, continue with that scenario. So, what about, Phillip Rivers? We talked a little bit about him. I talked pretty badly about him. From what I understand, he's out.
Out of what?
The Chargers. Like, they're ready. There's been some statement like they're moving on without him.
Really?
Move on from him. Yeah. And people are picturing Tom Brady's face in that mask and that Chargers.
Yeah. Well, I heard that. They broached that idea a few weeks ago, kind of, it was the whole, when he came out and said he would embrace his being a free agent and keep his mind open and try to explore the possibilities. So people immediately started looking around saying, okay, where would he fit? And the Chargers did come up.
Today on Good Morning Football, they had motivational speeches. Like each one of the normal guys there got a chance to give their little motivational speech.
For different teams?
Well, for whatever they wanted to do, so Nate gave his about the Super Bowl and about,
Okay.
Not missing this opportunity. Kyle Brandt did something that was from some military movie thing. And he approached it like he was like a general talking to the Niners. He was great. It was so great. I literally got goosebumps. I was getting kind of charged up, you know? I mean, because she's got that acting background. And it was funny because I could see him kind of looking at the monitor a little bit, but then I think he kind of caught himself and he kind of like changed his eye angle. But from then on, he was on a roll, man. It was crazy. If you get a chance, pull it up. I don't know if you can watch clips of that like on YouTube or anything like
Yeah, I'm
that.
pretty sure I can find it.
Yeah, yeah. All the speeches were good. Kay, I think she was pushing for John Lynch to go into the Hall of Fame. Could not argue with her.
Oh, here we go. I got in. There was a Facebook post in reference to Steve Atwater, John Lynch, and what's his name? Woodson that played for the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And people were kicking that around. And I looked at some numbers. I didn't see any reason why Woodson shouldn't make it. But when people started pushing Lynch, I'm like, okay, Atwater maybe. Lynch, I don't know.
Man, Lynch was a big part of that Super Bowl team, man.
That's true.
He was like a part like the Legion of Boom before the Legion of Boom. Was like you knew
It was
if
a
you
really good defense. It was pretty much the best Tampa 2 defense ever. They made that. That's why they call it the Tampa 2, and teams have adopted that defense. That's Tony Dungy's baby. And those were his players. And that was a great team, no doubt.
he was a multiple time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl winner, and he did it with two different teams. So I actually kind of thought she made a really good argument there, and I was kind of with that. Um, so I forget which what Traeger did, but normally I like whatever he does. It'll come to me in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
The
should get
pro
GM of the year. I'll give him that. I'll give him that hands down.
Really
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. How many games did y'all win last year?
4.
Okay. You went from 4 wins to the Super Bowl, bro. I get that man GM of the year. Go back and look at his drafting history. How long have we been talking about they got another number 1 defensive lineman? And there's another one, and another one, and another one. The whole freaking defensive line is first-round draft picks. It's crazy.
Well, they came in at a good time following Chip, where I don't think we hardly won anything. We had won one game. I was surprised. So you came in at a time where you were positioned for a lot of first rounders, but he made good choices.
That's the thing. That's what makes him GM of the year. He nailed every one of them.
When I'm listening to them talk about how Jimmy G got here, they reminded us that there was a conversation and that at least Shanahan was very interested in getting Kirk Cousins. And I'm so glad that we did not and that we got Garoppolo instead. I am personally.
So are you telling me you don't believe that Kirk Cousins could thrive in this offense?
I'm not a believer in Kirk Cousins for the most part. So, if you can get away with some of the things that Garoppolo has been able to get away with, and if you want to try to equate Kirk Cousins to Garoppolo, I could actually understand it. But I actually prefer Garoppolo, maybe because he's a Niner now, and I'm just biased toward him. That's quite possible.
Well, you're supposed to be happy with what you got. I mean, the man's.
I basically am. So, but those are the things that could have been, and I'm glad that they were not. Also, we didn't do this early on. I'm going to do this at least with the Sterling Net Point rankings. You might want to get involved, but I really think we have to take a closer look at the brain trust, the OCs and some of the other coaches. They've got a fantastic group of coaches, ex-players and things of that nature that are down, and you might not. I'm not going to pull any names out, but I'm going to find out who they are, and I'm going to put them up on Ben and Barry so you can see who that brain trust is behind that. You know, we talked about Sowell. I think that's her last name, the young lady who is a coach on the team. She's listed. She'll be the first woman coach in the Super Bowl. But in addition to that, they've got some good coaches that are that don't get talked about a lot. So I think that if the GM gets credit for the talent, I have to assume he gets some level of credit for the staff also.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give him that. I'm going to give him that.
Absolutely. Although I think the head coach gets a lot of say when it comes to assistants, because they're trying to match, the assistant with the system that they run, guys that they've worked with before, guys that they've admired from afar when they were on another team and the work they did for that other team.
Yeah, and normally that makes sense.
Right.
But he's got to have cooperation from his GM to bring in all of those.
The GM's not going to bring somebody in that he thinks is not going to be good for the team, obviously. But the coach is going to be the one to sell him on the fact that I would love to have this guy as my offensive coordinator because, and the GM's going to go, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think they're simpatico to, Kyle, Shanahan and Lynch. I think they're pretty much, on the same wavelength.
I think that whole team is on the same wavelength right now. I've been very happy with the Niners this year, considering I'm not a Niner fan per se, but being a football fan, I have to admire how they've done things.
With D Ford coming back off of injury, and what's the linebacker? The linebacker who just came back off of injury also.
Warner?
Huh?
Warner?
No, not Warner. His name will come to me in a minute. He's an outside linebacker. He just came off of injury, added a lot to this defense. So this defense, I believe now, staff-wise, is about as healthy as it has been, and some of these players are coming back. They're going to bring a little something. Let me throw something out real quick. The Titans were the only team in the conference championships who had to play that extra game, that wild card game.
Yes.
You think that had any impact on them? Like, maybe they were a little more tired, a little more sluggish.
No.
That extra game?
No. I've seen the Giants do it twice and win. So I'm not gonna give them that. I mean, it's always possible that they could have been, generally speaking, they could have been tired. But I think a lot of teams, if they had a chance, if they didn't lose anything like home field or anything like that, would probably prefer to play through. The Chiefs are probably, when they fell behind, they're probably going, that week off, that rust, you know what I mean? So that's a good thing. What killed the Titans was the Chiefs decided we are not going to let Derrick Henry run wild on us, and Tannehill couldn't make them pay. Simple as that. As simple as that,
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's just go through social media real quick again. Please come over to Ben and Barry on Football on Facebook at BNBOF. The Sterling Net Point Power Rankings is also on Facebook at Sterling NPPR. We have a Twitter page, Ben and Barry on Football at BNB on Football. We have a Instagram page at BNBOF. And if you go to our website address, www.benandbarryonfootball, you will land at our YouTube channel where all of the videos are. All right. So we did that. That's done. Any last comments, concerns, or rants?
I think I got nah. You know what I was gonna do? I was gonna see if you wanted to play that who belongs in the Hall of Fame game that everybody's been going into since Eli's retirement. You know, everybody that hates Eli now is like, well, he won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, you know. And some people are saying he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. So, you know, I always have a couple that I like to throw out to people. Does Donovan McNabb belong in the Hall of Fame? You don't have to think real hard.
No.
No, just like that. No, because some people will say he has numbers. I don't believe that he belongs there either. Here's a hard one for you. Ricky Waters.
Well, first off, you know my philosophy, and you don't agree with it. But as a part of a Super Bowl team, he should be in there. Ricky Waters, on his own, was an amazing running back. He was a guy that was that two-way type running back. I don't know if for example, you know, you're not going to put him there with Barry Sanders, for example, or
No, but that's not.
So, in the right situation, I would say yes, but it depends on who else is going in that year at running back, where they might be.
Why? They don't compare them. Either you make it or you don't.
They only bring in so many per year.
Yeah, I understand that. He's been retired for a while.
It might be, you know, the competition might be a little light that year.
Oh, it has to be light competition for Ricky Waters to get in. Man, that's tough.
Well, what can I tell you? You know, he should have. If he had stayed with the Niners, he'd have been a definite. But once he got to the Eagles, once he got to the Eagles, and it was for who, for what, that'll keep you out right there.
That has nothing to do with nothing. Come on, man.
For what?
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Look, that might keep you out, man. You never know. Those guys who do the voting, somewhere in the back of their mind, they might be thinking about that kind of stuff. Hey, look, before Ricky Waters, there was Roger Craig. And he's a no-doubter.
He's a no-doubter?
As far as I'm concerned.
He ain't in yet.
Well, he should be, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, okay. So Roger Craig is a no-doubter. Ricky Waters is a okay. All right. That's cool. I like that. And I have to remember the next time I get into this discussion with some other fans that I bring up Roger Craig. You got to get off if you're on a Super Bowl team, you belong to the Hall of Fame, though. You got to get off that, man. People are going to start naming like the backup left tackles and.
Hey, look, 53-man roster. Whatever that is, it is what it is. You know, that's the team.
Super Bowls is a big plus, but you got to have numbers. If you don't have numbers, because it's an individual award. This is not a team.
That's again, we've already talked about that. I'm a team. I think that should change. But okay, so do you have any people that you think should be going in?
Yeah, Eli Manning.
Besides Eli, you stated that in your video. Eli called Eli Love. Go to our YouTube channel and watch that video.
I mean, I'm not gonna. No, I just like to rattle people's cages about it. You know what I mean? And I throw a name out, or they throw a name out, and then we just kick it around. It's a fun thing to do.
Where does your what's the name of your receiver who used to do the cha-cha when he scored?
Victor Cruz.
Where's he stand in terms of the Hall of Fame?
Victor Cruz? His career wasn't long enough.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Right. You can't.
But didn't he win a Super Bowl? Was he on one of the Super Bowl winning teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So by your criteria, he would go in.
Well, no, again, I say the team should go in, but
you can't put in a whole team.
We right now you cannot. You're right.
Jesus.
But relative to him as an individual, what do you say? Yes, you think he should go in? No, we think he's not. Say no. His career wasn't long enough. Okay.
Right. He didn't have the numbers.
Okay. All right.
I tell you, who should go in.
Who?
John Jefferson.
Don Jefferson.
John Jefferson.
Oh, John receiver.
John Jefferson, receiver for the San Diego Chargers. Air
Char-
Coryell.
Air Coryell.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
A great player.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He helped make Air Coryell Air Coryell.
Yes, sir.
Now, are all of the undefeated Dolphins in?
A lot of them are, but not all of
Are the running backs in? Like, I know Kick and Zonk, are they in?
them.
Mercury Morris, did he get in?
No, Mercury Morris is not in. Kick's not in. I want to say Zonka is in.
They had Zonka on the Angry Runs this morning.
Yeah.
Showing stuff. It was great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Zonka's in. Paul Warfield, of course, Greasy.
Right.
You know, a bunch of guys on that no-name defense.
No,
Sorry, not the no-name defense. Killer Bees. They had the Killer Bee defense.
but they were the no name when they went undefeated.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Killer Bees came later.
My stepdad still owes me on that bet too. I gotta call him.
Yeah.
It's like $25 from like 40 years ago.
Oh, what? That they would go undefeated?
I bet him that the Dolphins would win that Super Bowl. He's like, oh.
Who did they beat? I forgot who they beat. Was it the Vikings?
Oh, well, that would be an NFC opponent, so that's quite a possibility that we know played there and didn't win. I'm not sure. I have to look that up real quick. But that was a great team, and Mercury Morris was one of my favorite running backs back at that point. He was just,
he was very fun to watch. Very fun to watch. Crazy legs.
Crazy legs, man. And he hit that outside. He was out. Oh, good Lord. It was just amazing to watch. And the power, the balance, you know, the inside run, the outside run. They actually compared the Niners run game a little bit to that run game because they had three backs. They had three backs. We got three back type thing. So, you know, that did happen. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed that Mr. Breida gets in the game and gets a couple of carries. If things hold true, well, I guess actually the determining factor will be if Tevin Coleman is made active and is able to actually play. If he is deemed active, I believe that Mostert will start the game and then Coleman will come in behind him. If he is declared inactive, which we'll find out probably Saturday, then I believe Breida may play a big role in this game. Because they're going to want to show him the change of pace. Mostert's not going to run 32 times for 250 yards again. That's not going to happen. So Breida's going to have to be the change of pace guy, and he could be the difference.
I'd like to see him run use check a little bit, especially in short down situations. You know,
they're going to sting him with use check when it's time for that goal line fullback pass type thing. He's going to get him on something like that.
Shoot, I run him right up the middle. He pushes.
Nah, they're not going to do that.
He's like beast mode, pushing the line of scrimmage.
Nah, he's gonna lead block, but they're going to sting him. They're going to send him out of the backfield to catch the ball. That's where they're going to get him.
Now that he can do also. He was a tight end in college.
Yes. He's a great matchup problem.
Yeah.
Get him out in the open field. You got to put a linebacker on him. Can they hang with him? I don't know. I don't think so.
Chiefs fullback came out the backfield on that game against me and made a nice catch. I was like, Chiefs got a fullback?
No, not really.
Well, hey, they got a fullback, so you never know.
No, no.
Never know what these guys will morph into. I'm telling you.
No.
I say you never know, and you say no.
Chiefs check, yes. Chiefs fullback, no.
No. All right, then. Any last words?
Go Noles.
Can I say? Go Niners.
Okay, good luck, man.
Muchas gracias. Peace out.